So, which is now a Rite Aid here on 39th and Division, is where we're gonna start. You guys might remember such stores like Thriftway, Disco Mart, but one of Portland's favorite stores was actually located right here on the corner of 39th and Cesar Chavez, technically Division. But for many years this was the home to KIENOWS, and this was one of the later stores that they had throughout the years. Basically started in a little tiny market downtown, and then they developed a really great business throughout the years, dubbing themselves the friendliest store in town, which would later be stolen by New Seasons. But here it is. This is now Rite Aid, but this was the home, like I said, to one of the original KIENOWS markets. And KIENOWS was definitely a very well-rounded store. They were great on their customer service. From what I read, they would help folks out to their cars. I don't know if grocery stores still even do that anymore, but they had many locations throughout Portland. This one served most of Southeast. We're gonna go down and check out one of the original stores, which the building still stands and is now a Rite Aid, like I said, but you can still see the awning and where the signage would have sat. And then if you look out there in the distance, the actual Rite Aid sign is right about where the KIENOWS side would have been, and you can still see the original brick in the shot as well. But that would have been it right about there, KIENOWS. And all that's left is really the original brick, and then the facade of the building really hasn't changed much, as you can see with the awning and stuff. But yeah, that's it. That would have been roughly the shot. Well, actually, I think the shot would have been more about right here, and you would have seen, I think you would have seen the shot of the sign. So probably right about here would have been it. All these years later, still a store, just not KIENOWS. All right, and the next shot is back here where we were just standing way down there on the right past the signal. You would have seen, which is now, well, has been for many years, Tom's Bar there off in the distance on the left. And this was a service station still, now is a 76. But if you would have stood right about here, you would have lined the shots up. And if you look way off, like I said, past the, you know, the street sign right about here, you would have seen the KIENOWS sign right about there. Pretty cool. Which is now the big old Rite Aid. But I believe that's actually where the old pole would have stood as well. So pretty cool to see. And same basic layout as the old KIENOWS. So we're now walking down, not too far from the store we were just at, or location rather, of the KIENOWS. We're walking down to, I think it was like maybe the third location total. They had, you know, a good amount throughout the years they were in business. 90 years. That's right, they closed their last store in 1999, the end of 99, roughly the beginning of 2000. So it says a lot for a company, especially with all the different competitive stores going into play. So what gives this spot really cool is I dug a little deep on the previous owners of the buildings, you know, the records, and they own this location and the place across the street, I believe, just for like storage. But we're going to take a look at where the original, one of the original KIENOWS locations is in just one moment when we get up here a little closer to Southeast Lincoln and 39th. And as you can see, the building here still stands, 3909. And like I said, this was for years the location to KIENOWS Market. They had like a different facade there on the front side of the building, which were like a larger set of windows, which would give the customers and guests, you know, more of a view inside and out. But let's go across the street because I want to show you guys some compared shots that I found. Right here in front of us, basically the same layout. Not much has changed in the building other than, you know, the windows were removed later for, I don't know, I think this building just dealt with a lot of crime and whatnot. But you can see it's now like a home model design and builders, you know, carpentry folks. But for many years, this was KIENOWS. And KIENOWS, like I said, they established themselves and were in business here for over 90 years, building a great relationship with folks throughout Portland. From the stories that I've read from past, you know, residents of Portland and people that grew up enjoying KIENOWS, they really do miss it. But what also gives this location kind of more of a little bit of a history is the KIENOW family actually owned this building here across the street as well, which is now a bicycle shop. But like I said, I was able to find property records, and right here inside this door would have been where Mr. KIENOW stored a lot of his merchandise and produce and things of that nature for his shop right across the street. But this was, I believe, the third location, with the two other locations downtown, the first one being open right next to a little schoolhouse. I believe it was like roughly 1908, and then they moved here to this location. I actually found a flyer from one of the openings for this location, and also an old-timey picture which I will enter here. He basically could store his goods right here and then just walk right across the street to the KIENOWS and, you know, replenish everything and keep everything going smooth for the guests. Pretty cool. And then, like I said, years later they would move from this location way down to 39th where we started, not too far from here, you know. So 37th, 39th, or I'm sorry, 39th to 39th, still on the same strip, maybe about 5-6 blocks, you know. So pretty cool to think that the, you know, hustle and bustle of Portland was here for many years, shopping and getting all their goods. I think really what made KIENOWS stand out was the fact that they were really good to their guests, you know, with their customer service and stuff. You just don't really get the good customer service like you would from what I saw. And I also found some old-timey shots of them actually carrying the groceries out for folks. And Mr. KIENOW was actually known to do like giveaways. He would let people come into the store, and if they were, you know, one of the customers that had frequented one of the places, he would say, hey, look, grab as many things as you can in 5 or 10 minutes. It was kind of like a little shopping spree, you know, sweepstakes thing. So he was really good to his folks, and word of mouth travels quick in Portland, you know, and just like other communities when you run a good business. 90 years says a lot. So unfortunately they are not around anymore. And I don't even know what store I would really compare to them. Like I said, New Seasons kind of stole their friendliest store in the world. I worked for the original Nature's Market, which came fairly close to that kind of motto of, you know, guest service, customer service, all that kind of stuff. So kind of sad to see, you know, that kind of aspect of KIENOWS and whatnot go, but pretty cool to see that the history's still there and that the buildings are still standing, especially the one still being in operation, you know. So pretty darn cool, if you ask me.
That's going to do it from KIENOWS. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. You can also ring that bell. That way when I creep, you guys will be the first to creep. If you did enjoy this vlog, give it a thumbs up. And also, if you have any fond memories of KIENOWS, leave me a comment below. I would love to read them. Thanks again for creeping. Creeper out for now. Peace.